Hello, Stephanie here with my crew here that are here to chat with those Heavenside and ask questions. So I have Paula and Jim and Vic and Winnie and Amy and whoever shows up from the other side. And so, what do you guys want to talk about today? Okay, Vic, did you have something to say about where you wanted to go today?
This might be a quick question, but I've heard it said that the dead can more easily visit a place where their remains are. Is there an advantage to getting rid of the remains of the dead if you don't want them visiting you or anything like that? I have some
I
opinions
don't
on
want you
this,
guys
but
coming
maybe
around and
not.
bugging me, haunting me after I'm dead.
Yeah. There may or may not be an urn with ashes in it in my house, and I did not want it here from day one, and it's still here. So
Hmm. Well, let's see. Steve takes that question because Steve does believe that he could relieve his conscience about that because nobody knows what happened to his remains other than a few who won't tell you. And that means that he doesn't have to worry about people leaving flowers and all that other shit and saying, "Hey, we miss you, honey." And then when I try to talk to them through Steph, they turn me away. I don't want to play that way. However, I think that the question you ask is a really good one because some people do feel that way, that their loved ones, when they come by their grave, are more open to listening to them. They are in a frame of mind where they're thinking about their loved one. They might be feeling a little bit sad, but they expect to have a conversation with them, even if it was with that body in the ground. They expect to have some kind of conversation. And so there's something to be said for the value of having the ashes or the body in a certain location where you can go visit it. However, it has nothing to do with whether or not it's easier to communicate with someone who's gone on. It only has to do with the fact that some people on earth are so convinced that you are a body, even if you're burned up into ash, that this is where you are. You're still in that urn and you're still in that grave 6 feet under, you know? And that's where they'll go to talk to you. And so the value is in the belief structure of the people left behind, not in the viability of being able to communicate from here to there, no matter where you are. So, does that answer the question?
that answers the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can always ask the person who left behind the ashes if they think that it crashes their relationship with you if you dump out the ashes and let it fly away. So you can always present the question to them. And if we can assist you, Vic, and anyone in here will do that for you.
Sounds good.
But usually I wouldn't worry about it. You like having them around because you can say, "Hey, dad," or "Hey, mom," or "Hey, cousin." Love having you there on my fireplace mantle where you can watch TV with me. Then that's cool, but it's not necessary. Okay.
Sounds good.
Any other questions today?
I have one.
I figured you did. Go ahead.
Okay. This is kind of funny. I've been watching people channel trees and whales and sharks and alligators. Have you ever done any of that, or is there an opinion on that? Is that yeah, I don't know. They all have something to say.
I haven't got any experience with that I know of, other than if you hug a tree, it'll say, I love you. You love your plant, it will love you back. You might not say it because it doesn't have a mouth and a vocal cords in the way that you're used to, but it will care. Let me see. God's going to take this question, honey. First of all, if you call my name, it is the same name, no matter the game. So if you say, hey, tree, I want to talk to you, and the tree says, here I am. What do you want to know? And you say, well, I want to know if you're cold in the winter. And the tree says, I don't usually worry about it. Then don't worry about it because it's the way you play. It's the way you play. Remember that you, me, and reality are always together, you see. So, what that means is that you are the point of view. I am the energy who animates you. And reality is the experience that comes to you. And it also comes to me. So if I hear you talking to a tree and I hear the tree talking to you, I say, well, that's reality, honey. That's your experience. Your experience is your reality. And so no matter what other people say, does it matter to you? Do you care if the tree doesn't talk to you? What difference does it make if it talks to some people and not to others?
None, but I might sit there and wait a very long time and see how long it took to hear something back. I don't know.
And that's okay, because that's the way you want to play. You want to see if you can have that experience that other people are having, where the tree talks to them. Now, why would the tree want to talk to you about anything that interests you? Why would the tree not want to talk about what interests the tree? Maybe what interests the tree is, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need from me? You need some shade? You need some pulp to make some paper? You need some juice to make some syrup? What do you need from me, honey? And you say, I need this from you. So when you talk to me, basically what you say to me is, God, I love you. And I want you to help me help you to communicate with me because I want to know what you think of me. And God says, well, I think you're kind of cute. And I think that I might get a hoot out of talking to you because it would be fun, don't you think, to have that experience together? And so the only importance of the experience of reality is that you get to experience me and I get to experience you, you see. Because I hear you when you look at the tree and you say, oh my God, that tree needs to be sawed down. It's in the way. I hear what you say. And when I say to you, I love that tree, you hear it too. And you say, well, God loves the tree and I want to saw it down. So who do I listen to? I guess I'll listen to me because I'm the one that has the saw, you see. And so What I'm trying to tell you is you're the one that saw the tree. You're the one that gets to see. And I see through your eyes when you come to me and say, God, I'm here. What can I do to help you help me? And I say, well, honey, let me see through your eyes. Let me see what you saw. Let me see what you hear, what you heard. And that's because we're a team, you see. And then you say to me, God, that tree said to me that I should be more careful when I talk to it and not talk about cutting it down because that makes it frown. And I say, well, that's interesting because all I see is a tree. But what I hear from you is what you experience, you see. And therefore, I get to know you a little bit better. I get to know how you look upon reality. And so there's two different levels to this, you see. There's the tree, which is reality, and there's me, which is the energy, and there's you that interprets the reality. You interpret the tree. And so I get to see the tree through your eyes, and I get to see what you see through your eyes. In other words, I get to see the tree and I get to see your interpretation of the tree. Does this make sense to you? But when you turn your back on me, then I only see the tree. I don't know what you're thinking. And when you look at the tree and you only see a tree and you don't think anything in particular, then we're both on the same level, you see, because I don't have to worry about what you're thinking. You just see a tree and I see a tree and I say, look at that pretty tree. And you say, it is pretty, isn't it? Because we both just see a tree. And we don't get caught up in our story about the tree. You see? In other words, we interpret reality in the way that it comes to us in the present, not in the future, not in the past. We don't put any shame and blame into the story. We just say, see that tree? It's green. There's a bird in the tree. And I say, yeah, I see that bird in the tree too. And when you stand side by side with a friend and you look at the tree and the person next to you says, do you see that bird's nest there? And you look and you see the bird's nest, then both of you are seeing the same thing, you see. But when you look at the tree and you say, I hate that tree, I got to cut it down. And the person next to you is thinking, I could put a swing for our kids on that tree. Then you're not seeing the same thing. But when you tell them, I want to cut the tree down, and they say, well, I don't want you to cut the tree down. I want to put a swing in it for the kids. And you say, oh, you're so stupid. We got to cut the tree down. Then you aren't seeing eye to eye at all. You're interpreting the tree. But if you see the tree and the tree is in your way and you say to me, God, hey, I see a tree. I also see that it's destroying the foundation of my house, you see. Can you see that? And I say, yeah, I can see that. And I say to you, well, what do you want to do? And you say, I don't know, God, what do you think I can do? Should I cut down the tree? And then we talk about it and we come to an agreement, you see. And that's the way I want you to treat each other. I want you to look at reality and not just your programming, you see. If it's your programming that says I have to cut down that tree because it's not the right kind of tree, and everybody in the neighborhood has to have a tree that's like this or that, then you are not facing reality. You're living in a false reality. And if I hear you talk to me and say that, I'd say, honey, let's back up a step. Let's back up a step. And let's talk about this tree in reality. Okay? And what do you really want to do with this tree? Not what the neighbors will think of you if you let this tree continue to grow here. You see? And there's a difference between what you really see and what you're programmed to see. You see? It's like saying, I can't wear that dress. Nobody would wear a dress like that to the party. I can't do this. That is your programming, you see? If you say to me, I like this dress, nobody else will wear one like that. And I say, well, that's okay. You can wear it. I don't care what they say. What I care is that you're happy and that you talk to me. So I don't know if I'm really answering your question today about if they're really talking to the tree or the alligator or whatnot, or they just think they are, because it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is that we share a common reality. And that you talk to me and they talk to me and we talk to each other and we say, hey, I like it that way. I like it that way. So if somebody comes to me and says, I talked to an alligator today, I said, cool. What did you like about it? And they might say, well, I like the fact that I can know what the alligator is thinking. And I say, that's cool. And then I would say, what do you not like about it? And maybe they would say, I don't like the fact that, in fact, I couldn't record what the alligator said to me and show my friends so that they could all say, hey, you talked to an alligator today. You're really important today. And then I would say, which is reality? Which is reality? Is reality that you enjoyed talking to the alligator? Or is reality that you want to be the golden idol today and be the one who talks to an alligator and nobody else can? And so when we have these conversations, we begin to sort out what is true, what is reality for you, and what is warping your point of view. Have I answered this question sufficiently for you?
Well, Amy, thank you for that question because it just answered mine.
You had the same question?
Well, I actually have a reality of the question. I have a tree outside my home. I was leaning away, but I don't want to cut it. I don't know what to do with it, how to save it. So I'm tying ropes, trying to pull it upright. I just have to face reality and make a decision.
Winnie? The answer to your problem, you see, is to come to me and we'll talk about it.
Okay,
So let's
good.
talk about it right now so everybody else can understand how this works.
Okay.
Tell me what you like about the tree.
I love the tree. During the it's a pine tree, so during the holidays, it holds my Christmas lights. So it looks beautiful during the holidays, but it's just leaned so far that it looks like it will affect my foundation. I don't know about that. So I've called some handy people to kind of push it up.
Oh, you're
Rather,
going way too far.
okay.
All I asked you was what you like about it.
I love the tree. It's beautiful. I
And the
like
fact that you could hang Christmas lights on it, right?
that too, yes. When I walk outside my door, that's the first tree I talk to.
And so everybody who heard her say that, how did you feel when she said she liked the fact that she could put Christmas tree lights on it? Did you get that feeling of how nice that you
I
have that tree there that
I
you
felt
can
like she liked the
celebrate with the
tree.
tree? Yeah. And so everybody likes the tree now
and she enjoys it.
because the tree is there for you. You shared your point of view with your neighbors, you see, who are standing there beside you looking at the tree. And you say, I love that tree because at Christmas time I can put all the lights on it. It looks so beautiful. and everybody standing beside you said, I could see that too, where that might be really nice. And that's reality. Because the lights that you put on the tree that made you feel so happy, tell other people that they could appreciate it too. Now, what don't you like about the tree?
Well, the fact that it's leaning away from it's leaning towards my stairs, blocking the stairs, and almost it looked like it could affect my foundation.
All right. So can everybody see the tree leaning towards her house and her stairs and affecting the foundation maybe? And doesn't it make you feel kind of sad that you have to decide between having that tree there for all the Christmas lights to give you cheer at Christmas time, or having your foundation destroyed by it? So is it a good tree or a bad tree?
It's a tree.
It's just a tree. It's just a tree. Go ahead, Jim.
I think having worked in construction and also with arborists, you could probably get a consultation from an arborist at a reasonable price, and he could say, well, if you cut this root off here where it's going under your foundation, the other roots are pretty substantial, and the tree could stay there for your Christmas decorations and your house would be saved. So there might be options besides cutting the tree down and or not. Just
See how this works, Winnie and everybody? When we sit down and we just say, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And there's Jim saying, well, I could enjoy that tree with all the Christmas lights on it. So maybe we can come to a solution. So who's talking through Jim, you see? God plays in many different ways. God plays in many different ways, in many different voices. But if you don't talk to each other and you don't talk to me, you will lose your ability to live in peace and harmony. So when an issue comes up, it's very simple to say, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? But if you just say, I got to cut down that tree because I just have to cut down the tree because everybody has to cut down their tree because that's the way we do it around here, you don't come to a resolution, you see. If you say, I can't wear that dress to the party, I just can't wear it. And your friend says, I can see why not. It's way out of fashion. I would hate to see you in that. Or you look terrible in that. I can see why you don't want to wear it to the thing. Then they're not standing side by side with you to look at reality. They're looking at their own opinions, you see. They're looking at their own programming. And if they stood side by side with you and they said, well, what do you like about the dress? And you said, I like the fact that it has such pretty colors, you see. And this is my one chance to wear it, because usually I can't wear that kind of thing to work or to pick up the kids at the playground. And then they say, well, what don't you like about it? And you say, well, I'm looking at it and I can't really think of anything I don't like about it. They'll say, why don't you wear it then? I can't wear it because everybody will laugh at me. What's that about? Suddenly, everything you like about that dress has gone out the window because somebody might laugh at you because it's old-fashioned or it's out of style. And you allowed yourself to be sabotaged by a thought. You see, it's just a thought. And it's not reality. Reality is it's just a dress. And you get to be the one that decides. And if you can't decide, you can ask your friend. And maybe your friend would say, well, there's one thing I don't like about it. The ham is coming apart. Could I fix that for you? And you would say, okay, that would be nice of you to do that. And your friend would be proud to go with you to that dance, you see, because you live in a shared reality where you share your view of reality and you don't rely on some pre-programming that would stop you from experiencing your best life, you see. Experience your best life with your friends and work with them and say. So I might say to Amy today, what did you like, Amy, about the fact that this person could talk to the tree and the alligators and the other things? What did you like about it, Amy? So, Amy, could you explain what you liked about it? You're on mute. You're still on mute. I don't know what's going on there.
She's unmuted now.
I know, but she can't be heard.
Something with your sound, maybe. We
You
can't
had
hear
it
you.
before. You can change microphones. Maybe you're on the wrong microphone. Maybe you hit something that changed to a different. But we'll let you fiddle with it. As soon as you get it where the sound comes through, somebody we'll hear you. We'll hear you. And we'll stop and take your and work with you. Does anybody else have any other thoughts about anything? About how to work in a group to share your reality?
I learned a lot. Yeah, you can just see how rampant all of these crossing each other out and, in the world and the teenagers and just, and I can see where this is going to come into play about our thoughts about healing and longevity and belief systems and what would somebody say if I ate that or didn't eat, and it's pretty exciting.
Winnie, you're on mute if you had something to say.
Yeah, I was just saying I'm learning a lot also using reality, because I used to be in that mindset of visualization, imagination, manifestation. So now with God saying is the Trinity, God, you, and reality. So now I'm trying to bring myself to realities. I'm loving it.
Today, I was talking to Stephanie about why we can be heard so clearly through her. So let me talk to you about that, since it comes up about the way people can hear alligators and trees and stuff. So when I talk to Stephanie, she just says, okay, that makes sense to me. You have a lot to say. And I like it when we talk because we meet eye to eye on many things. And if I don't understand, all I have to do is ask you. Because just like the little exercise we just did, just like you would say, well, that was kind of fun today. Steph will say that. She'll say, well, that was kind of fun to do that and to see it from a different point of view. Thank you. And so we do fine. However, when she was still in the early stages of talking to those heaven side, sometimes people would come to her and they would say some pretty stupid stuff. And Steph would say, after she'd listened to them for a bit, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're just here to annoy me, then go away. Just go away, because I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to be your slave, you see. And you can pretend you're so smart because you're in spirit, you see, and come and bother me. And they would go away. And the issue for many people is that they have to protect themselves from evil spirits, you see. They have to put on their armor that God gave them to fight against the devil and evil and all of that. And so we had a long chat about it, and I won't get into it all. However, the point I wanted to make is that when you make me into a warrior, you see, that has to equip you with armor against another one of my children, then who do you think I am? A warlord? When you understand that the armor that you have to wear against evil spirits is all to protect your ego and not your soul, because your soul is incorrigible and cannot be destroyed, you see, then you will come to understand this story that the ego wants to control everything. And so it wants to control the ones that are coming to talk to you, and the ones that are coming to talk to you want to control you because they think they have to fight you for supremacy. And it's the same for every one of you on earth. When you deal with someone and they come to you and say, hey, I got to tell you this, you got to do it this way. You can't wear that kind of dress because it's old fashioned. And you say, I don't play that way. I'm sorry, go away. And they say, well, if you don't listen to me, that means that you are stupid, you see, and you better be careful because God will punish you because you don't do what I tell you to. And all you can do is say, hey, I don't play that way. God bless you. And away I go because I know that God will take care of me. I know that God will simply say, what do you like about that person today, Stephanie? And Stephanie will say, well, I guess nothing. I guess I can't think of anything I like about it right now, other than it showed me what I don't care about, the kinds of conversations I don't care to have, and that I'm getting clear enough to understand when somebody's trying to manipulate me. And I would say, well, what didn't you like about it? And she would say, well, what I didn't like was that they were just manipulative and they were just trying to annoy me and they really didn't have anything worthwhile to say. And so I would say, well, then what do you do? And she would say, well, I just let them go away. And I say, I don't really care to talk to you today. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to be afraid of them. You don't have to wave your incense in their face and say, hey, evil spirit, go away. You just have to say, I don't play that way. I'd rather play with my friends, you see. Now, the problem is for most people that they are so in awe of the ones who can talk to the ones in spirit, and the ones in spirit are so in awe of the spirits that come to them that they don't use any discretion, you see. And so until you can live without fear of what you hear and just say, well, that's nice to hear, but I don't play that way, then you will live in fear and you will not be clear when you are talking to those in heaven, you see, because if they say something that triggers you, you may say, well, you must be evil today. So I better put on my armor and I better get out the incense and I better walk around the room 3 times backwards to make you go away. So put down your spears, people, and take off your armor. Because all you have to do is talk to each other and say, how do you like to play? How do you like to play? And if someone says, well, I like to play the game where we all do exactly the same thing, and we all have to wear the same fashion, and you can't wear that dress because it's not the same fashion, then maybe you need to say, I don't play that way. I don't want to play with you. You don't have to put on their armor and call them evil. You don't have to defend against them because there's nothing to defend against. It is the light of God that comes to you when you lighten up, you see, and you say, well, whatever, go do it your way and I'll do it mine. And that's all you have to do. So, Amy, have you got sound now?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Okay.
So, what did you like about hearing how one or more people could talk to trees and alligators and such like things?
So the bottom line of the message from the whales was we don't feel bad about when you guys were killing us. We we understand that life is a cycle and everything cycles through. We've been around a long time. And
So, did you like it when you heard that?
yeah.
How about the rest of you? How do you feel?
I've kind of thought about, should I kill a few trees in my yard, but really it's my own, I wouldn't say vanity, but yeah, why not let it live? It's not hurting me. It's not making too much of a mess. I'll just it'll be my pet tree in my yard with all my other pet trees, and if it dies, then I'll cut it down.
What about the whale thing? How do you feel about that? Stephanie has a reaction. Steph, how do you feel about it? Yeah,
No.
I'm like, no, that's justifying it. I would say I don't play that way, but that's me. Others may choose to play that way. How do the rest of you feel?
I don't like it. Yeah, and I think those are questions, how we've handled those types of things through the ages and in our lifetime is like part of why we've gotten ourselves into this mess with the earth and everything. So I don't know. At this point, I don't like it. If I had to survive on whale oil to light my house or something back whenever, maybe, but right now it doesn't feel good to me.
So the question becomes, does it feel good to you that the whale thinks about it at all? Is it the whale's decision? Or is it yours? Like you said, Vic, whose decision is it?
I guess
In
it's
other
my
words, do you
decision.
feel bad about the whales being killed? Or do you say to yourself, well, it's okay, we can kill the whales because we need to kill them today?
My thoughts are sometimes whales need to be killed for people. And if we need to kill them, um, we should appreciate the whale's sacrifice and thank God for it. And if we don't need to kill the whale, let's not kill the whale, because if we kill all the whales, there won't be any whales. Oh my goodness.
Hey there, Aaron. Would it be a sacrifice for the whale if it didn't mind being killed?
I think yes, because the whale still is no longer going to be alive. Its energy is going to return to its group consciousness. And you know, but if it didn't mind, I guess not really.
Is it a sacrifice for you if you are killed and you go to heaven and you say, boy, I'm glad to be here.
Hmm.
Are you sacrificing anything if you are an eternal being?
No. I guess not.
It's
Just
just an
another
experience, right? It's just an
Just another
experience.
experience.
So, with that question about the whales, what we're seeing is different points of view. So, we're not all unanimous on how it makes us feel. And so, if we continue to discuss it, we might eventually come to a shared reality where we would develop a certain sensitivity to the whale, you see. In order to understand this, what I'm trying to tell you is that the whale is reality. The whale is reality. And then there's me and you, me and each one of you. And so when I come to you, I say, well, there's a whale today. And what does the whale say? And you say, well, this person says that the whale says this. And I say, that's the reality today. The reality is that this person says this today. How does it make you feel that this person says it? And Amy says, well, that makes me feel pretty good when they say that. And others say, well, that makes me feel kind of sad when they say that. And so the reality is that we have different reactions. And so each of the reactions from the people that responded to that question is a reality, because reality is always shifting, you see. It's always shifting. And so when you hear me talk through Stephanie and you hear me say that, then it is your reality. When you hear somebody else in the group say something, it is your reality. And the thing that happens to you is you check your heart, you see, to see if it feels good to you or not. And that felt good to Amy. And so if people kill the whales, then she feels no pain, you see, because the whales don't mind being killed, you see. But it's just a whale. It's just a tree. It's just reality, which is not to minimize reality because it's what you have. But the interpretation you get of it will change. And when you share your interpretations, like we did with the tree and now with the whale, and the person who is talking to the whale, we begin to create a diversity and yet a synergy of energy that pulls us together as a group. And we begin to see each other in a different way. So you might see Amy in one way because of the way that she felt about that. You might see Jim in another way, or others in a certain way. But if you hold on to an opinion about someone and you say, well, Amy's kind of callous about the whales and Jim is kind of a weeping heart about them, and you say these are the kind of people they are, then you begin to create a false reality because you then are pre-programmed the next time you talk about something. And you say, well, we can't talk to Jim about that today because Jim wouldn't like it. Or we can't talk to Amy about that because she wouldn't like it. So we better exclude her from our conversation today. And you can also exclude yourself by saying, well, I don't like to play that way. I don't like to play with these people. So I'm going to go away. Or you can be the kind of people that say, hey, we're willing to dig in a little deeper because we love you. We love you and we want to dig in a little deeper so that we can come to see your point of view, so that we can stand side by side with you, Amy, and see your point of view. So, Amy, I would ask you then, given what Jim has said, Steph, has that changed your point of view? Or do you have something to add that might change their point of view about the whale and about the woman who's talking to the whale and what the whale said?
So the they were talking about in the past when we, like Jim said, when we were using the blubber for warming the houses. That I didn't say this at first, but they said that there are more people, they're aware that there are more people that are conscious of what they're doing now, showing them more respect. And the killing has slowed down. And at the end of that, they said, we understand that life is a cycle, you know. So there was a little bit more to that. But yeah.
Okay,
Um,
and so in the end, did that make you happier than to hear it from the whale's point of view?
make me happy. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Did it make you happier than you were before you heard that?
Yes.
To hear this about the whale's point of view.
Yes.
So it was a comfort to you.
Yes, I think so.
Now, Jim, does that change your point of view?
I think so. Just, I still feel the same way about the whale, but I see how valuable this, what God's teaching us. It just so important, so deep, really.
So I'll throw my 2 cents in on this. We're eternal, and you know what? If we have whales now or don't have them now, it's not going to matter in the long run. Even if there was no Earth, I'm sure God would provide a nice place for us to reincarnate to eventually, and we'll just do it again. Hopefully, maybe we'll make better whale-based decisions in the future, if we want to keep whales. I personally like whales, and I think they're rather whaley.
The purpose of this exercise is not to pick a point of view. It is to allow you to begin to practice standing beside each other to see it from their point of view, so that you begin to understand more about what Amy's talking about. Why would anybody say, I talked to the whale today, and this is what the whale told me? If that person was here, what would they say? Why would they bother to talk to a whale? What did they need from the whale? What do you think, Amy?
What do they need from the whale? Raising awareness about environmental issues, possibly.
For other people?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is one possibility. Then that would be rather manipulative, that they were using the whale for that purpose, that they already had that purpose in mind. So they already said, well, you got to play it this way because you can't have a tree in your front yard. And so I got to teach everybody to be aware of this issue. Or they could have said, I need more connection with whales. I need for my own happiness to feel that I can connect to the whale. Can you see the difference?
Mm.
In one case, the woman or man might say, hey, whale, I just want to feel closer to you because I can't figure it out. Help me to feel a connection to you because it's all about connection. And in the other case, it would be, hey, whale, I already have an agenda to tell everybody that they don't need to be too worried about what they did to you, but to hands off now. And so I need you to tell me that. If the agenda is, I just need to be connected to the whale, and the whale said to you, I hate you. Look what you people have done to me. I tried to protect my young from you, and look what you've done to the oceans. I hate you. And how would you feel if you were the person that was trying to connect to the whale? Imagine that you're in that position. Amy, what would you say to the whale?
That would be sad. That would
You
make
would
me
say
sad.
that would be sad to the whale?
Mhm. Would I say that to the whale?
Yeah, no, what would you say to the whale?
Um, can you repeat that?
What?
I'm trying to figure out, like, say that one more time.
What you would say back to the whale when the whale tells you he hates you for all the
He hates
creepy
me.
things people have done to it and the fact that they're heating up the oceans and forcing the whales to, causing them to
I'd be
die.
sad and I'd say, you probably have the right to do that, to feel that way. Um, um, I understand. And I'll pass it on that we need to be more careful and more respectful.
All right. Steph, what would you say to the whale? I would say, thank you for sharing that with me. Now I understand you better. I understand what you have to say. Do you want to hear from me what I have to say? I wouldn't really care too much to pass it on to other people because it's not my business to do that. My business is, and I might say, hey, I talked to a whale today, just because that's what I say and what I do, but I have no agenda with it, if that makes sense to you. That's what I would do. Just the way I do it now. It's just, this is what I do, people. If it brings with you, so good. But if it doesn't, tough shit, So Amy felt sad when the whale said that instead of, it's okay, you can kill me if you want, but please be nicer now. And so she had a reaction to the potential of what she might hear. And Steph, did you feel sad about what the whale told you? If the whale told you he hated you? No. I wouldn't personally feel sad. How about the rest of you? How would you handle it if the whale said that to you?
I'd feel sad, but he'd be justified, in my opinion, to feel that way.
I'd have to agree with Paula.
Well, you would make an opinion about it that the whale is justified.
For the way they've been treated, yeah.
How about you, Winnie?
I'm thinking of reasons. Why was the whale treated the way it was treated?
So what would you say to the whale if the whale says, I hate you?
Oh, I will tell the whale I understand. I can see why it can hate me for doing.
Oh, keep going.
Sorry, yeah, I was just saying I can see why it can hate me for doing that. but I also ask for an opportunity to express my reason,
You justify it.
trying to.
You would say, yeah, I'm sorry, I'd be guilty. I have to justify it. It wasn't
So-
really me.
That's how we heat our homes. We have to. We had to back then. I'm sorry,
What
but
you
we
gonna say,
had to.
I'm trying not to collect any more karmic debt. So honestly, I'm trying to let everything just wash over me. And if the whale said, you know what, I hate you, I'd say, okay, whale, I'm gonna go back to eating my whale blubber souffle or whatever it is I need to do with this, and you know, try not to try not to hold on to the earth. Just enjoy the experience and try to make good decisions for its continued existence, but not get attached. So you're entitled to your opinion, whale. Have a great day.
I wouldn't go that far myself. I would say thank you for sharing that with me.
Hmm.
And then I might
Don't
have
have a
another
great day.
question. I might have another question. I might say, do you still hate me? Maybe the whale would say, no, I got it out of my system. Thanks.
We're good.
Eh, he can hate me if he wants. That's his karmic problem. I think I'm pretty clear on this one.
So these are the different reactions that people would have, or the different actions. Because Steph was the only one that said, I would say to the whale, thanks for sharing. You still feel the same way. She would present another question to it to keep the dialogue going. Whereas almost all of you immediately formed an opinion about what the whale said, instead of giving the whale an opportunity to continue to connect with you. You shut the door in the whale's face. I didn't know this was coming, people. You shut the door in the whale's face. So when someone says to you, I hate you, you nasty person, you, and you say, okay, thank you for sharing that today. You got it off your chest now, or do you have anything more to say? You know, you keep the connection open. And if they say, well, I hate you today still, and I don't want to talk about this anymore, then you can say, that's okay. I don't play that way because I like to talk to you. But if you don't want to talk to me, then go away. And I'll play with the ones who want to talk to me. So when we're in a group and somebody says to you, well, I hate that and whatever, if you get too caught up in what they said because you write over it with your programming, you see, instead of keeping the dialogue going, then you may miss out on a good friend. Does this make sense to you?
Makes sense to you?
So
Yeah.
nobody's the winner here. Nobody is the winner. Nobody was able to prove that they were right in the way they reacted to the whale and in justifying their own reaction, you see. Nobody gets to be the winner here. Nobody gets to be the golden idol. We just get to practice living together in peace and harmony with the whales, with the trees, and with each other. Does this make sense to you?
Beautiful. Ooh. It really does make sense. And it's important as we move forward that I want to learn how to do this more. And I mean, this could be every decision in East and West. I mean, it's huge. This step is huge, you know, to have this capability to listen and share and not react and love. Very important.
Here's another question for you about the whales. So what if the person that was talking to the whale told them that? I hate you. I hate humanity. I hope God wipes you off the face of the earth. Would you share that on your internet page or your videos?
Yes, and that.
The channel person, would they post that if that was what the whale told them?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Or would you say this can't possibly be true? Because we all know that whales love us and they don't care if we kill them for blubber or whatever. And they just want us to be a little nicer today because that's the way we got to play because God told us we had to play that way. And so I can't post this on my channel because nobody will believe it. They'll all just say, a whale wouldn't say that today, so you must be lying. In other words, would you wear the dress that you love to the party, even though it's out of style and everybody will laugh at you and say, well, she looks kind of strange in that dress today. Have you ever seen somebody who would dress in a certain way that was not the popular way? They would have their own style and they would just say, this is the way I dress. I don't care how the rest of you dress. Did you ever feel admiration for them? And say, well, that person just plays their own way. They're style setters. Because pretty soon everybody else will have holes in their jeans. And they'll pay $100 for somebody to rip holes in their jeans because somebody didn't care
Mm.
whether other people liked it that they wore their jeans that were all worn out and had holes in them.
Mhm.
So the question is, if the whale says, I hate you today, and I hate all of humanity, and I wish you guys would all get washed away in the rising seas, because that'll serve you right. And you know everybody's going to get mad at you if you post it, because that's not what whales say. Everybody knows you're lying. Would you post it anyway? Would you do it your way? Do you trust someone talking to the whales enough that if they say something that goes against your preconceptions, that you would accept it as true? If you can't do that, you can't talk to me the way Steph talks to me. You can't talk to the Jesus the way Steph talks to Jesus. When Jesus says, hey, I'm the product of incest, that's not the way Jesus plays. We can't post that today because it isn't true. Then I can't talk to you because you'll only let me say what you want me to say, and I don't play that. And if I say the seas are going to rise and swallow you, are you going to post that, or are you just going to say, God loves you, everybody? It's all going to be okay? Because we've been playing pretty rough recently. We've been telling people that they need to own up to their own attitudes and their own programming, you see. We've been playing pretty rough. And most of the people who channel don't play that rough, you see. They just say, God is here today to tell you all to be kind to each other, and you're all going to go to heaven and stay there forever and a day. And Jesus is here to say he loves bearing your sins for you. And he hopes that everybody will be okay because 8 billion people on the face of the earth doesn't hurt the earth at all. Do you see that we play pretty rough? Because we say things that are not popular today. We say, well, the rapture will take you away. You created the rapture in the way that you would talk, and you trusted on it. And now it's coming, and you whine and cry and say, I don't want to go. I don't want to be raptured today. But you have to own it. And we're telling you that it's okay. It's okay if you're raptured today. It's okay if you go to heaven. What's the problem here? Because we're cutting through the shit, you might say, in order to help you to learn to play in a different way, to play in a way that will say, well, I like this today. So if you were one of the Red Hatters, as we call them today, and you were sitting here and we said, well, what do you like about the idea of Trump being president? And then we'd listen to what they had to say. And if they said, well, he's better than someone that eats babies for lunch and tells lies every day, and we might say, well, who would that be that you're worried about? And we'd keep asking, what do you like? And if they say, I don't have to talk to you because he's better than everybody else that you trust upon, we would say, we don't play that way. Tell us what you like and tell us what you don't like. And let's try to put our reality together, you see. Let's try to get to the point where a tree is a tree and a whale is a whale. And a man is a man. And a woman is a woman. And Jesus is not the only Son of God. Let's try to think about it, people, in a different way. And that's why we're playing rough today. Because we want people to say, hey, I like it that way because I play pretty rough myself. I throw tomatoes at you and say, you're not talking to God today. And we throw them back at you and say, well, you're okay, you'll get raptured. And then you get pissed because we tell you you're going to get what you asked for. So the way to play together is to simply listen to each other and to hear what the other person says and not be afraid to share. And so if I ask you, what is it you like about Joseph Biden today? You might say, well, he has a nice smile. Or you might say, well, I don't know. I'm not so sure I like him today. I can't think of anything good to say other than he has been keeping that bear gut under control. Or you could say, well, what do you dislike about him today? And you could say, well, I dislike that there's a bit of inflation today. And we would say, I didn't ask you about inflation. I asked you about Joe Biden. What do you not like about him today? Let's not confuse the issues, please. Let's stay on target. What is it you don't like about the man? What is it you don't like about the tree? If we're talking about inflation, and you can tell me what you like about it and what you don't like about it. Some people like inflation because it means their house is worth more. And some people don't like it because it means their paycheck is worth less. Depends upon who you are and where you are and how you are, right? Depends upon circumstances. So let's keep the conversation clear. And let's not say, what do you like about this man or that man today? And run away when you tell your true thoughts about it. Let's listen to each other, but let's not avoid the issue either. Let's not say, when I ask you about the man, that you don't like the war in Palestine. That's not the question today. We can talk about the war in Palestine after we're done talking about what we're talking about, you see? And so when people would come to Stephanie from the spirit realm and they would start digressing and getting caught up in their mumbo jumbo, she would say, I don't play that way. But it doesn't mean you're evil. It doesn't mean you're an evil spirit. If you come to me and say, well, you're horrible because you da 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 da, or you better kill yourself today because you're stupid. She doesn't run away and say, oh my God, there's a voice telling me to kill myself. She says, go away because I don't want to listen to that today. I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in it. If that's the way you play, go bother somebody else who believes in the devil. Because I don't believe in the devil today, and I don't believe in the evil, and I don't believe that God has to armor me up to protect my ego. This is not to say that Steph hasn't been through the ringer a few times, because she has. And she had to face down her fears, you see. And she had to say, it's okay. It's okay. Because if it's real, it's real. And if it's a fantasy, it's a fantasy. The tree is real. The whale is real. But I might be living in a fantasy if I interpret it in a certain way. So I need to look at the way that I see things. Do I see the tree? Do I see the bird in the tree? Or do I see a tree that I don't like because my mother said to me, you should cut down all the trees in your yard because that's the way we do it, you see. Is this making sense to you? Okay, we'll leave for people to, time for people to make comments or thoughts or questions.
Makes sense to me. I've learned more from God today than I had in 50 years in church.
Amy, go ahead. Yeah, I can tell that you're just waiting to say
You
something.
can? Wow.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I heard what was being said, but my mind keeps drifting over to DeSantis and what's going on with that. I guess because I watched the last video where you were talking about what they're doing with the legislation and everything. When you start a dialogue with someone like that, and you never get anywhere, the two sides never come to an agreement or find a solution. Excuse me. What do we do then?
You can't play with them. If you're someone that's willing to listen and to share your point of view, but they won't do it, you can't play with them. That's why, in order to bring together a new nation under God, God has to, make some people go away. But he's not vicious, you see, he's not unkind. God is not unkind. It's a kindness to say, do you really want to keep playing in the way you're playing? Do you really want to stay on that karmic round? Do you really want to come back again and again and again in despair? Look at those people. Are they happy? Do you think those people in the political machinery that are trying to control reality are happy?
No,
So
they're not.
what would the kind thing be to do for them?
Redo, do over, come back, do it again, however long it takes. Yeah.
So if there's no end to life, you see, if you're an eternal soul, there's nothing that can be lost. Because the moment you say, I'm done today, I'm done playing that way, I want to play with you, God, in a kinder way, it's over. You may have to go through some stages that might seem a little difficult for you, but every day you say, God, I love you today. God, I'm so happy that you're here for me. Because even if I live in this desolate land and I see a blade of grass, I say, welcome, little blade of grass today. Welcome to my world. And little by little, the more welcoming you are, the more blades of grass will come to you. And they'll say, well, they like us there. He likes us. She likes us. And so let's all gather and create a nice soft carpet for him or her. And the whales will say, they love us today. They love us today. And so let's play in the ocean again. Let's play in the big blue ocean and say, hey, what fun it is to play today, because they are welcoming us back to the world, you see. They're saying, welcome, fish, welcome, whales. We will have to go away, make room for you, because 8 billion people on the face of the earth is too many. We love you enough to say, well, we'll just take a rest in heaven, because heaven's okay. What's wrong with heaven? Nothing. And when we come back, we'll be in a world where it might be a little bit challenging, but what's wrong with challenge? What's wrong with challenge? God has us in hand. God loves us. And God will protect us because God created us to be his children, you see. And the only thing he wants from us is for us to come back to him and say, I love you. I love the whale. I love the grass. I love the tree. And I love my friends, you see. And there's nothing more fun than to sit with my friends and say, what do you think about this? What do you like about this? What do you not like about this? Can we come together in a way that will help us to be happy every day and say, oh my God, look at this. There's a blade of green grass that grew here today in this desolate place. And then everybody will come and look at it and say, wow, that's really cool. God gave us a blade of green grass today. That tells us that God hasn't forgotten us. And little by little, the world will turn green again for them. Because they turned to God and they didn't say, here I am in this desolate world that God condemned me to, because I didn't do anything. I'm innocent of any wrongdoing, but God is treating me bad, you see. And then God says, okay, you still haven't learned your lesson, have you? So I'll just treat you bad because that's what you want from me. You just want me to treat you bad so you can complain. And if that's what you want, okay. Does that generate more questions for you, Amy, or anyone? Winnie, anyone? Appreciate the little things. Appreciate the bird in that tree. Appreciate the shade that tree gives you. Appreciate the whales that swim in the sea and they blow out their air, you see, and their little spout comes out. And you say, aren't they beautiful today? That God gave us all of this. Appreciate that little blade of grass that grows in the desolate desert, you see, and say, look at this. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything you have, and it will appreciate for you. More whales will come back because they will appreciate, you see. There'll be more fish in the sea because they will appreciate. There will be more trees because they will appreciate. There will be more love for you because the world will appreciate you.
Beautiful.
Well, then we will quit for today. And I want to thank anybody who listened in on this. I appreciate you very much. And I guess that means there'll be more of you and more love for you. Again, so if we sit down when we're in this community and we say, well, should we plant corn today? And somebody could say, well, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Well, I don't like that idea because it's not the full moon. We have to plant corn in the full moon, whatever, you know? And then we could say, other people could say, well, I don't like that because that doesn't make me feel good that we would have to worry about the full moon. And we could try to pull out what is the reality. The reality is planting corn. Just planting corn. And everybody's pre-programming and thoughts about it could lead to a lot of resentment if we don't understand that.
I think this could become, it will become a way of life of, like right now, it took us an hour to discuss the whale or the tree, you know, but we learned if we think differently, we don't put our walls up to each other or, you know, let it affect future conversations. So it'll move more quickly when we learn how to flow and love and listen and ask for more. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself as I was listening, I said, oh, this is very profound. Maybe I should be taking notes. I had to remind myself, no, the video will come up.
Well, let me ask you this about it. So the reality is we sat here for an hour talking about whales. What did you like about it?
Well, I like the fact that we were, it's almost like God was just pinning us down to reality. Just face the reality, you know, don't go astray. Face reality. What is the reason for this?
What did you not like about it?
Well, because the idea of killing the whales, it didn't feel good within my body.
Right, but the discussion itself, not what we discussed. In other words, were you bored?
No,
Were
I
you
loved
unhappy?
everything. I
So
loved
what's the problem? What's the problem? We talked for an hour about whales. That's the reality.
right.
The question is, were you happy? Were you
Yes.
engaged? So
I
what
was.
better way to spend your time for an hour?
Mhm.
No
Would you
other
rather
way.
have been watching TV or something?
Nope.
No, this is the best way.
Very
So who cares
creative.
if we spent an hour or 5 hours if it made us happy,
Mhm. Right.
right?
Yeah, time goes very fast actually when you're having fun.
Yeah, I never got the feeling like afraid to ask those questions like that because there's always something that comes through that is very meaningful. It's like he can take any question and you know what I mean and just cover it. I've got it covered and you'll get something out of it. Every video, hands down, is like that. So I'm not afraid to ask those things like that. So
So what we had was, in my opinion, connection
yeah.
and engagement. And, you know, whatever the outcome, whether it was about whales or trees or clouds, you know, we were still all here together, engaged in a sharing environment where I'll go away and say, hey, that was fun.
And nobody walked out except
Well,
Vic.
Vic did,
No.
but that was because of his baby.
Yeah.
Time to put him to bed.
Yeah. I look forward to this Wednesdays and Sundays.
But when we are all together in a community, we can have these conversations, but we'll have them with funnel cakes and whipped cream and fresh
Yeah.
strawberries.
Ask the question about gluten-free sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think it's okay.
mhm. I do.
I do too.
I think it would give me more freedom, even in my career, when somebody would just make some rash statement or whatever, and just say, well, tell me more why you feel that way. And then if it gets weird, then just say, I'm out of here. I don't want to listen to that, or, you know.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot how to have that foundation in not only for here, but just in life and relatives and all of that. So I think it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we can't get our friends and stuff to do it, you know, to communicate as such, but we're still among ourselves
Mhm.
Mhm.
building those lines of communication and connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Very
all right.
fun.
Well,
I'm
thank you
not
guys
afraid
for
to
being here.
I'm
What
not
made
afraid
me,
to talk to other people about this either. I mean, people that would think I was odd for, I feel like it needs to be shared.